Hey, what is up guys, I'm KBHD here, and what better way to break out of the box than with a car video? Can't really think of a better way. So I'm obviously not a car reviewer. I've never even really shown that I'm interested in cars any more than the super sweet ones that anyone likes anyway, but I do appreciate a good car, and when Tesla offered me the opportunity to check out the Tesla Model S for the day, I couldn't really say no to that. So without any further ado, it's my first car video. These are the top 5 tech features in the Tesla Model S. So spoiler, I've never actually owned a car. I've always lived close enough to the school I go to my whole life that I've never actually needed to own a car. But even through all that, this car and all the tech inside keeps catching my eye. And of course it's a car that's been in the news a lot, sure, but I don't think there's any doubt that this is one of the most modern cars of this generation. So of course there's a lot of tech inside to talk about. So number 5 is the sound system, and that's actually the one thing I couldn't get on camera to demo for you guys while I was messing with the car. But to make a long story short, it sounds fantastic. Now this is a really quiet car, obviously. There's no engine noise, and it's a really, really tightly isolated cabin. The acoustics are actually fantastic, and with the tech package that I'll talk about later in this video and the fantastic speakers, it sounds great to sit in the driver's seat, position the audio exactly where it should be, and just listen to your music. On top of that, it hooks up to your phone actually via Bluetooth. There was no auxiliary jack, no 3.5mm headphone jack to just plug in a pair of and maybe an iPod or something like that. So I guess that was the biggest con, maybe of the whole car. But the fact that it has a pretty sweet sound system, hooks up via Bluetooth, it's pretty great. So that brings us right up to number 4, and that is the design of this car. Now I happen to think it's actually a really good looking car, but it has a point. It's actually very pretty in that way for a reason. So this Model S is a striking car, obviously. It resembles a lot of other bodies out there, some Jaguar, some Aston Martin, some Maserati even. There's a little bit of each of those in the design of this car. But in case you didn't already know, it's all electric, and a big part of getting the best range out of the batteries is efficiency. And with its shape, the Model S has a ridiculously low drag coefficient of 0.24, which is actually the lowest of any car, which means it's going to cut through the air with the least amount of wind resistance, basically. It's technically a hatchback, but it still has that aggressive profile and low center of gravity because all the batteries are on the floor of the car. And it has a completely flat bottom, so there's no transmission or anything sticking out the bottom and interrupting airflow. The design all is here with a purpose to keep the car cutting through the air. Also, this is the highest end 85 kilowatt hour Performance Plus model. So with this, you can grab a tech package and get a carbon fiber spoiler on the back that even further improves airflow. And even besides airflow, this car is really well designed inside and out. And that's another thing we'll get to in a second. This also isn't the first iteration of the Model S. It's gotten a few hardware tweaks since it first came out. And one of those little hardware tweaks was folding mirrors. And that's actually a pretty big car, so you'll kind of need those in New York. And like a cherry on top for the design, when you unlock the car, the mirrors and door handles unfold. Which brings us right to number 3, the key. This is the key for unlocking the Tesla Model S. It's a mini Model S. It actually has some hotspots on the key to let you unlock doors, lock the doors, or even completely open the hatchback to give you access to the trunk. It has RFID tags inside, so when you get up to the handles, you get close enough to the car, they'll automatically deploy the handles for you. So really, out of all the car keys I've seen, even from supercars I've seen, this one, I mean, it's a mini version of the car. It's really cool. It's the closest thing to a smartphone gimmick about this car that I can think of. It's something that you can demo to someone live and they'll instantly remember it. So I guess what I'm trying to say here is show me a cooler key of a car and I'll be impressed. I was really happy about the way the key looks on the Model S. Anyway, number 2, which is arguably strictly car tech, but I would call it the tech of the car anyway. It's the electric motor that powers the entire Model S. This thing is a beast. So when I visited Tesla to check this car out, they had the frame of a Model S on display in there, showing the tray where the thousands of batteries sit, and the suspension, and the wheels, and the electric motor right there. That little guy, that is what powers this car and makes it absolutely fly. So like I said, I got to mess with the highest end 85 kilowatt hour Performance Plus model, and I got to drive it, and well, it's pretty awesome. So it sports a 0 to 60 time of 4.2 seconds. So that's gonna give you a pretty good idea of how lightning quick it is off the line. And it's an electric car, so it has all of the torque available immediately as soon as you touch the gas pedal. Not the gas pedal, the go pedal. It's a very different feeling versus the normal lag you have between stomping on the gas pedal of a gas car and actually accelerating. So that instant torque makes this car so much fun to drive. So the 0 to 40 time is obviously really impressive, and it puts you in the back of your seat when you're flying. But the thing is, so is the 40 to 60 time, and that also allows you to put you in the back of your seat. And well, I didn't have the roads in New York to test this 60 to 80 mile an hour time, but I'm sure that too would have been awesome. Best way to describe the instant torque is it feels like a roller coaster launch. When the tires stick, this car is really something else. Now, there are also some other benefits of being electric. For one, there is almost nothing under the hood to maintain in this car. You pop the front trunk, of course using your fancy key, and you will see, well, that's exactly what it is, a front trunk. All you have to maintain is just windshield wiper fluid, that's it. So you have a pretty sizable front trunk that they call a frunk, and that's, I guess, what the people of Tesla call it. And the electric motor in the back is also so small that you really have tons and tons of space in the back. Again, it's a hatchback style, but it's a big sedan, and this car has significantly more space than any other car its size. I mean, if you put the seats down, you can fit probably like 8 golf bags in the back of this car. It's just massive. So the batteries are also on the floor, so you have headroom for days, a big open space where the transmission and gearbox would normally be. I mean, there are so many spaces opened up by not having a gas engine and a gas tank and all the maintenance that comes with that stuff. Oh, and the cherry on top of all that, driving this car, it is completely silent. So that brings us to the number one best part of the tech inside this car, and I think it's pretty obvious at this point. The number one is the center console. It is a 17-inch touchscreen in the center of the console of the car that replaces all the buttons and dials and knobs that you'd find in basically any other car. It's the number one head turner. It's the number one thing people talk about. When I was at CES and people were looking inside the car, that's the number one thing that they talked about. The center console on the Model S is really impressive. It's big enough and high enough resolution to control literally everything about the car. And it's running a custom-built OS from Tesla that can get free over-the-air updates over the 3G connection included in the car. That actually adds functionality every time they update the car. So the latest one was memory seats. They just added it with an update. So yeah, this is an internet-connected car, basically with a giant 17-inch 1080p tablet in the center. Not the highest pixel density, but still packing way more pixels than probably any other car, I'm sure. So in terms of functionality, you have your energy tracking for the battery usage, the media playback controls for your phone audio or radio, and you have Google Maps navigation, which I'd say is probably the most trustworthy at any time. And you can swap these in any configuration, top to bottom, or even make one of them full screen whenever you want. And last but not least, you have a full HTML web browser. So there's no flash, so it won't play a YouTube video or stream audio from any website, but you can totally have your passenger look up the score of a game on the center console. If his phone is dead or something, he can always access the internet there. So yeah, then in the bar at the bottom, you have the stuff that doesn't ever move, so it kind of becomes muscle memory. It's always there. That stuff replaces the typical knobs for your audio volume and climate control temperature. So you can also control more physical parts of the car through the touchscreen, like the sunroof, which literally just lets you drag an image of the car, the sunroof, to whatever percentage you want, just to open it with dragging the touchscreen. It's crazy convenient and pretty quick too. And you also have a rear-facing wide-angle backup camera on the car. It turns on automatically when you're in reverse, or you can turn it on yourself whenever you want. And it's decent quality. It's actually pretty good. I might start doing some reviews with it, or maybe not. So yeah, this thing is fully featured. Basically, the number one question people have when they see this huge screen in the car is it distracting while you're driving? And I would say not really. It was on auto brightness and I got used to it pretty quickly. I was the only one. I was driving for maybe an hour or two and I got used to it. And if you're driving at night, it switches into night mode and inverts a lot of the colors. But if you really need to punch in directions while you're driving using Google Maps, you can still have your passenger do it, since nothing gets disabled while you're driving. So all the functionality is always available. So yeah, you won't find anything like this in any other car right now. It's the number one tech in the Tesla Model S for sure. It's just one of those things like front-facing speakers on a phone where it feels like the future, and I kind of wish everyone else would adopt it. So there you go, guys, just a fun little video on the Tesla Model S. I figured I'd share the experience with you guys, and I also have more stuff coming up with Tesla and hopefully other car stuff too, along with the other stuff I'm breaking out of. So again, stay tuned here if you want to see more stuff like that. And let me know what you guys think of the Model S. I mean, obviously, it's an electric car, so there's going to be the people who just don't like electric cars. The range anxiety bothers people. For me personally, the biggest con of the car, I think, is the lack of an audio jack. But again, it's a highly acclaimed car with all the awards it's won, and the Motor Trend Car of the Year, and the highest ratings on safety tests, all that kind of stuff. It's doing really well. So either way, thanks for watching. That's been it. I hope to talk to you guys in the next one. See you then. Peace.
We'll be right back.